like I was saying, it's liberal teens versus conservative parents, middle ground, by none other than Jubilee kid.
Bad choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back. The
Exactly.
more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination.
Amen.
When Jubilee created Middle Ground, the intention was to uncover humanity and empathy shared among strangers with opposing beliefs. Whether your political beliefs are on the left or the right, we all exist within our own echo chambers. So for this episode, we partnered with Ground News and created a test that can analyze your
Step forward if you
and share the results. We encourage you to do the same.
All right.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. Cancel culture is a good thing.
Yeah, oh, that's a crazy question. Is it a good thing? To an extent. It's a good thing to an extent.
We have the freedom to say what you want, but everyone else has the freedom to respond and cancel you if you say something that is racist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. Cancel culture is definitely good in the means of like deplatforming people who are spreading very hateful messages.
What is your opinion on Trump being cancelled on Twitter?
When you go onto Twitter, whatever, you check I accept the, guidelines, the community guidelines, I agree to follow them, and he didn't follow them, so Twitter has the right to take him off the app.
And people that might make the counter-argument that Twitter is biased and will only cancel right-wing politicians, that's not true at all. Twitter and other forms of social media have canceled left-wing activists. There is an equal balance on both sides.
All right, so my idea on this is that cancel culture is the worst thing that ever happens. Now people are afraid to say something wrong because they can get canceled for it. You can say something that they actually don't even mean, and yet still get canceled for it. That's what I'm trying to say. Damn.
You brought up canceling him off Twitter. I'm sorry, I disagree. When the Taliban can use our social media, but an ex-president can't, there is something wrong with that.
Did the Taliban violate community guidelines?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it matters to Twitter.
Yeah, it matters. If you break the rules, then for sure, there are rules that you cannot break.
What their community guidelines are. That's why they banned Trump, because Trump violated community guidelines. That's what every platform has, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram.
The Taliban stones people because they're gay.
If they've done that and they've posted videos of stoning gay people, I agree, they should be removed, and that 100%. Is fundamentally wrong.
Except the problem is they're smart enough to not do that.
Okay, and so did they not break the rules?
Well, then why wasn't Trump smart enough to not do that?
The president wasn't smart enough to not do that, I guess.
If I'm an American and I have to vote between this person and this person, I need equal access to both of them to decide what's right. Bro, you can be a Klansman, you can say you hate black people. That's not my job to police your language. I can't expect everybody to love me and think the way I think. All y'all think different. I mean, that's totally dope. But the fact that you want somebody removed because they think differently, that could be you one day.
Do you think freedom of speech is something that still exists in America?
We do have aspects.
No. No, it does not exist anymore. It does not exist anymore. You cannot give your opinion without, people being offensive about it. And if you do give your opinion and people are offensive about it, then those group of people come together and cancel you. And that's rip your career. And yeah. So you have to always, please people, even though the people that you don't want to please, you also have to please them. Because if you don't please them, well, you're going to get canceled for it.
Of freedom of speech. Like, you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. So obviously there are limits of freedom of speech.
But they're picking and choosing who they're silencing and who they're letting talk.
If people react negatively to what you say, it goes both ways. You can't just say that, oh, they
100%.
can't. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
America is becoming less and less safe.
Less and less safe. Sure. You better step up, brother. Yes, sir.
I'll leave this to you guys.
So I have a lot of friends that have been in the military for the last 20 years because they refused to get vaccinated. They told me that they would be dishonorably discharged or kicked out of the military. I just believe we're losing a lot of good servicemen with the current situation that we're in right now.
Probably.
Police officers are down. Crime is up all over. When police aren't there, we're murdering each other at a really high rate. Police are in those neighborhoods because the homicide rate is high. Y'all can run around talking about police all you want, but I challenge any of these liberal kids to spend 2 weeks in the environment I grew up in, and I promise your perspective will change.
The one advantage we have about being older, we've been through a threat or two, and our enemies, like China, the Communist Party in China, they're laughing at us. Russia's like, we don't need to do much. They're gonna screw it up on their own. We need to get the help of our younger people that haven't been through a threat before to realize a lot of what's going on is not good.
Okay.
My name is Mike. I'm 59 years old,
Hey,
and I'm a
Mike.
conservative parent. You know, growing up during the 1980s, you know, that was a huge influence on me, and it formed my views, and the people that I was around is the reason why I'm a conservative parent. I think America should be more middle of the road and not be necessarily more liberal. And if
Okay.
anything, it should be a hint more on the conservative side, because we're going to watch our freedoms get extinguished or encroached if we don't guard those freedoms and make sure that all of our children have a chance to succeed.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
I actually wished I came up here for the agreeing section because I think I interpreted the definition of safety the same way that you guys did, but after hearing your guys' conversation, I started thinking about how our American people aren't safe in the face of like
Yeah, I'm not safe at all.
climate
Shoot.
disasters that are coming our way, and how we don't have the infrastructure to deal with that.
I actually very much agree with that, because I think we need to define like kind of like what we mean by like we're less safe now. Do we mean like there's more homicides after COVID, or like what do we mean?
I would say before we got rid of half our military, half our police force, you know, slavery was legal. The Holocaust was legal. So we can look at all of these mass atrocities and say we're doing what's right. Everybody who was a part of the Holocaust government, they were doing what Hitler said. They were doing what was right. So everybody losing their job for not getting vaxxed, and all the vax people, you got who can we control? Everybody who get the shot, that's who's gonna do what we say. The enemies are coming, and we don't care about that because we wanna care about what color we should wear and pride and critical race theory. It's like no one else cares about that but us in America. That's our problem.
So you think that talking about sexual orientation and all that kind of stuff takes away from the safety of our country?
Who you sleep with has no merit in the real world. What does it matter?
Okay, let's just broaden the scope. With the coronavirus pandemic, why did it take weeks for us as a country to mobilize together to fight the public health crisis that was already affecting the nation?
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office. It's all fake.
Damn, okay.
I agree with
If you say
I
so.
don't think that we could create, or the Democrats could create some international plan, getting all of these scientific communities out.
Yeah, because this thing is not just America. Like, this is not just happening in America. It's happening all around the world. So you think it was a scam to get Donald Trump out? I don't think the whole world is trying to get Donald Trump out of the office. None of the whole world cares about the United States as much as you guys think so. Watch out.
It's all fake.
Like, what
that
the
was
hell?
already affecting the nation.
It was a scam to get Donald Trump out of office.
Like, that doesn't make sense at all.
It's all fake. It's my opinion.
I agree with you.
I don't think that we could create, or
That's
the
dumb.
Democrats could create some international plan, getting all of these scientific communities.
That is so dumb because this is happening worldwide. So you saying that is, I don't know.
Outside of just the U.S. and even
Exactly.
international governments on their side for something that they're just trying to get Trump out of office. I feel like that's heavily ridiculous.
Thank you.
Trump was the thorn that nobody saw coming, and they had to find a way to get him out of there. If there's no mail-in ballot,
That's the thing, though. Lots of countries does not care about the United States to the point that it affects the entire world. That is a fact. You think that Italy cares? They don't care about the United States. They don't care because that's not their country. Canada barely cares about the United States. The only reason why they care about each other is because they're neighbors and they're allies. They're really close allies. United Kingdom does not care about the United States whatsoever. So that is a dumb statement.
voting 100% Trump is the president right now. 100%.
That's a dumb statement.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's my opinion.
overwhelmingly mail-in ballots were to Biden, and that's obvious. Like,
Exactly.
That's not because mail-in ballots are fraudulent, because mail-in ballots are actually not fraudulent at all. That this election was the safest election in recorded history.
There's a lot of videos, so you see people with fake ballots. So that's here and there. I'm not. About to
That's just
argue with it.
hearsay from random people on TikTok. Are we really gonna like take that as like empirical evidence?
It's a personal opinion.
My name is Parker. I'm 19 and I'm a liberal. My sisters and I have become a lot more liberal, a lot more left-leaning over time, while my parents have stayed a bit conservative. Before, when I was a conservative, I kind of just went off a lot of the indoctrination and propaganda that was spread to me when I was a kid. I grew up on the fact that, oh, we shouldn't have increased taxes because taxes are just negatively affecting us. Personal responsibility isn't what a lot of the decisions people make in society is based on. It's mainly based upon their environments, how they're socialized by their parents, people around them, things like that.
My news source is more reliable than the other side's.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Source is more reliable than the other side's.
News source.
News source.
When I look at conservative news, I see a lot of conspiracies that I don't necessarily agree with. And so if everything comes from opinion and just people developing their own ideas, it just doesn't seem reliable to me.
I feel like the only way we can get unbiased news is in order for news media organizations to stop prioritizing having really vivid headlines that might not necessarily be 100% accurate.
I think that starts with putting people over profit. They want the biggest story or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
they don't
that's
want to
facts.
actually give the news that would be beneficial to our everyday average Americans. And I think that if we put
That's
a lot
facts.
more focus on putting people first instead of the big news or the big story, we can change that aspect of society.
All
I
right.
agree with you 100%. Like I say the civil rights movement is the civil rights entertainment industry because it's so profitable. Put a police shooting on TV, it's breaking news, every headline, it's on every social media,
Yep.
you're selling shirts, you're selling signs. That's so much more profitable than showing me and you shaking hands. The news media is literally capitalizing off the emotions of society. No matter how you feel about it, handle it in your privacy of your house. Why? Because if you can do it on camera, somebody's gonna make $1 off of it, and that's not
Yep.
fair to you.
Young people today are too sensitive.
Step up, please. I'm gonna ask you to step up. I'm gonna ask you to step up. I'm gonna ask you to step up. I'm gonna ask all three of y'all to step up. Thank you. Hold on a sec. All right, go. Yeah, you better.
So I think it's a good thing that young people are sensitive. I think today they can be more sensitive than what they probably could have been 30 or 40 years ago. You know, the growing up was the Berlin crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we had the threat of annihilation, you know, staring at us several times. And a lot of times I go, you know, thank God John Kennedy handled it.
The country has been spoiled for so long. They're trying to make it so a man can't be a man. And if you
Factual statement.
don't let men be men, then things start crumbling. Society crumbles, families crumble, and broken homes start happening.
And kids need their fathers. So 36% of kids don't have a father. So every boy is, well, my mom is mad at me, my dad don't love me, my dad don't care about me. Maybe I should be gay, maybe I should be trans, I don't know who I am. And your father puts confidence in you. No disrespect to anybody, but the younger generation of men are soft. And if we had to go to war,
Facts.
they're not protecting America. There's no better place to be as a black individual or whatever you are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you.
Oh hell, they destroy you.
Johnny, I'm 32 years old, and I am a
But back to this point though.
in America.
Like young people today are too sensitive. Yes, it's a factual statement.
There's no better place to be as a
I
black
almost said something
individual or
crazy.
whatever you
Chill.
are in America. Go to the Middle East right now and say you gay or you trans and see how they treat you. Johnny, I'm 32 years old, and I am a conservative parent. My grandfather was a no-excuse individual. He grew up in the Jim Crow South, but he worked hard. The house that he bought is still in our family today. He had a garden in his backyard. If you step past a certain why, he got on you. So to watch the men before me who really could have been lynched for stepping out of line, who really could have went through a hardship for not doing what society said, the worst thing that can happen to me is I get a mean tweet or a dislike. So I gotta fully embrace who I am, and I know I can create anything with my 2 hands and feet.
All right, say so,
I'm
buddy.
Hannah, I'm 17 and I'm a liberal. I really want equality for all, and the liberal policies that have been passed side more with my values of equality for those who are on the LGBTQ, those who are on the gender spectrum. Something about conservative parents that I don't like is whenever I come across them, they seem to be very rooted in their ways and not willing to listen to someone who's a teenager like me. They think more like, oh, because I'm older, I have more knowledge, which is not necessarily always the case.
What you say?
Can we have the disagreeer step forward?
Like to be honest though, if I was in their shoes, I'd say, yeah, we soft too.
This idea that because men are being raised by women that they're weaker is, in my opinion, completely false. Our generation, it's not more sensitive, we're more aware of all these things. Being transgender and gay is not something that should be ashamed of. Or
Every girl that I know, if they grow up with a daddy, they get married before they have a kid.
Why do they not have fathers?
If you want me to be real, because a lot of women make bad choices on the men they procreate with. If you make a bad choice, that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Every bad thing that I did in my life, it was when my daddy was in jail. When my dad was out and I had my dad's reassurance, I was a better person.
I had one daughter that had to move across the country to get rid of a toxic relationship with somebody that was harming them.
Why does the woman have to move across the country because the man is being toxic?
Because the man is not going to leave. That's the thing, though. One person got to leave, and the man's not going to leave.
Why can't the man be taught, don't be toxic?
Oh, I agree.
Women nowadays have to deal with those kinds of relationships. The mother knows better, I would say, than the father about that.
We're not more sensitive, there's just more opportunities for us to be sensitive. You can say like 15, 20 years ago, there weren't videos of black men being shot by police all over the internet. Now that that's there, people are more inclined to feel a certain way or take a stance on that topic.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to show police also interacting with white guys? Because more white guys get killed than black guys by cops.
If you look at the amount of white people and the amount of black people, there are going to be more white people killed because there are more white people in America. The percentage of black people that are being killed is higher than the percentage of white people.
Well, just because you're pulled over doesn't mean you have to resist. I mean, they don't just kill you when they pull you over. It's all about based on how you perform as an individual. I've been pulled over and never had a bad interaction in my life.
Because you're lucky. I ain't gonna lie, you're lucky that you were lucky.
When I was rude, I got snatched out the car.
You're
Everything
lucky.
is a personal choice. If you can't take accountability for your life, then you will forever be a slave.
Yeah, that, like, what you said about how you act is facts, but, like, bro, I ain't gonna lie, some cops don't want to have it. Even though if you try to cooperate, they just want to shoot you.
That's not true. There are definitely issues on the side of policing.
They just
Black
wanna shoot you.
communities, majority black communities, majority POC communities are over-policed. There's larger patrols in black communities. There are police work longer hours in majority black communities. So there's an issue from the policing side as well.
Politics has damaged my relationship with a loved one.
I'm sure you could relate to this as well, but in the Asian community, there's a lot of anti-blackness. So with the advent of the Black Lives Matter movement this past year, having conversations with my parents was really difficult, especially around the nuances of racial justice and sort of like what the movement was fighting for and how to articulate that in like the very closed mindset that my parents had.
A lot of my family voted for Trump in the past election, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't like to say this, but it made me view their morals a little bit differently, and they're willing to adapt and change was so different, and I was just like shocked because I wanted to understand their side and really talk about it, and I was met with, you're wrong, and we don't want to talk about it, and that kind of really damaged just kind of the way I looked at them.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I also think that it just made me less willing to expend the energy to have.
One thing to keep in mind is that Trump did not lose because of his comments. He lost because of how he handled the whole coronavirus situation. That's why Biden is in office, because they thought he could do something. And yeah, that's tough.
Political or like just like any like hard conversations with my parents or anyone else in my family. My name is Rithwick, I'm 18 years old, and I'm a liberal. I grew up in a low-income immigrant household, and I think the systems that are in place right now aren't sufficient enough to support people, Americans like myself or my family. Because my parents were immigrants, I think they were liberal on issues like immigration and things that directly affected them. I'd like to ask to the conservative parents why they don't necessarily live.
Exactly. Like if he would have, like let's say Trump would have handled it like professionally and actually tried to, you know, put in real effort into stopping the spread and everything that actually, let's say he would to acted like he cared, right? He would have won. He would have won the election if he had acted.
Listen or
but
adapt their own
didn't care at
beliefs,
all,
whether
so that's why he
political
lost.
or social, based on the conversations they have with their children and why they're so set in their ways.
Because that election was
I
hella
read a lot
close.
of the tragic stories where family members don't talk to each other anymore. Personally,
Facts.
I think that's sad. Do all my family members vote the same? No. Do we have a pretty good idea of how family members may have voted? Yeah. But we went more of agree to disagree. I'm not going to not buy you a present for Christmas because, you know, you decided to vote for somebody that I don't like. Give me a break. Families are special. And we've got too many people, as you've talked about, that don't have them.
When I took this prompt, I kind of took it more of like, my view of the person changed differently because, not because of the way they voted, but because some of their values to me were, like he said, moral values, and that shows kind of part of their characters.
Would you say that morality is subjective to each individual person though? Or would you say morals are the same across the board?
The basic is human equality for all. And so if you don't believe that somebody should have an equality based on their gender, their sexual orientation, or their race, or anything like that, that's a moral problem in my eyes.
Because that's a huge thing with the trans and the gay and the LGBTQ and all that whole thing. So I grew up LDS, being Utah County, it's like 95% Mormon. At 8 years old is when you get baptized. And so if you're raised around where 95% of people think the exact same way, I feel like that's too young of an age where you're a child and you don't really know what you're doing. And so where I have a problem with the trans or these different things is they're getting kids at like 10, 12 years old and they're pushing them down that path.
Facts. Oh my God, that is so true. Oh my God. This is not even a diss or nothing. That is facts, bro. Because these are kids. These kids don't know what they're doing. Maybe 10 years down the line, they'll be like, damn, I made a mistake. They can't go back to it. They actually just can't. Like, if they're 12 years old and they make that decision at 12 to, the whole transforming thing, 10 years later, they might just say, you know what? I actually don't want, I made a mistake. That's why I say you have to wait until, like, at least you're 20 years old. Like, kids cannot make decisions.
Who's they?
Who's they?
Who's indoctrinating these kids into becoming LGBTQ and
Nah, you must be out of touch if you don't know who's they,
etc.
There's a lot of groups out there.
There is a
Like?
I've just heard that there's groups out there. I don't know. You don't think there's groups
Bro, this guy's a TikTok fanatic and he doesn't even know? That's crazy.
out there that do that?
No.
I'm assuming you're a straight man, so I think it's weird for you to comment on the queer experience and what that's like for someone growing up who's struggling with those experiences. The way you're describing it as indoctrination, people who are figuring out their sexualities and their queer identities aren't necessarily going to ascribe to the first labels that are put before them.
If I'm not mistaken, the brain isn't fully developed until you're 25 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct.
So I know how I used to think at 16. Man, I know how I used to think at 21. Man, I'm not against kids doing whatever they want. It's just the older you get, you change. I got my first tattoo at 15. I'm covered now. If I was a little older, I probably would have waited. When you're young, you're not thinking.
Exactly.
Everybody has made a bad choice. And because you stressed out, you go change your gender. Because you want to try something new, once you do it, you can't go back.
Facts.
The more you throw stuff at kids before they develop, that's indoctrination because you're trying to get them while they're not fully cognitive to know what's going on.
The older
That's why you have to let kids be kids. Okay, the older you get, the more conservative about you become. Whatever.
the more conservative you become.
How would that work? I'm just
When I got older and I had kids and I had a family, I actually started reading policies. Everything about me changed when I became a father because I had a reason to. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah. As I've gotten older and the environment we're in right now, I feel like they're trying to cancel the Constitution. They're trying to cancel Christianity.
I mean, most teenagers are liberal. I was liberal when I was teen. It's fun. Culture is liberal. So and when you're younger, you're going to be a part of culture.
Right.
When you're older, you're trying to raise your family. You don't have a time to care about what LeBron James said or who did that. Just when you mature, you value what's around you.
I get it.
My name's Sean. I'm 36 years old, and I'm a conservative parent. My dad's kind of my idol. I've seen him basically build a very successful life and seen how simple he's lived his life through prayer and through just basic conservative principles. Being raised up LDS or Mormon, I saw a lot of just judgment, and so I don't necessarily believe that you have to be in a religion, but I do believe in prayer. I've been all across the board as far as the way my life has gone, and at my happiest times I've lived by conservative values.
Building off of what you're saying about like teenagers, we're a different generation, and so we view the world differently, and I think that's probably why you've seen more teenagers be liberal, because we just view the world that way, but I don't think it has anything to do with
No, my generation, I was liberal too when I was a teenager, and all my friends were too. And when you're a teenager, life is fun. It's just totally, you kick it, you party. So that's what I'm saying. I get the teenage. As you grow, you either can run away from responsibility or embrace responsibility. When there's real things going on, you start looking at life a little different.
Yeah.
Versus when I was young, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about corporate gains tax, and I didn't know about my stock account, and I didn't know that all these things that I didn't know when I was a kid.
So when people are generally talking about taxing the rich more, they're talking about the top 400 billionaires that are literally paying a lower effective tax rate in taxes than the middle class. The top 400 billionaires paying an effective tax rate of 8%, that's obviously not a fair share. And I think obviously everyone can agree here that they should be paying at least a fair share, right?
How do you increase taxes on someone's assets, though? Most of those billionaires aren't.
Unrealized capital gains is how they're specifically trying to do it now, but it would be through long-term capital gains, because a lot of the people who are paying those taxes, they're paying capital gains tax rate. There's also tax loopholes that have been lobbied into Congress by big corporations and big businesses lobbying politicians to get whatever they want.
So if you get older and you work yourself off and you become a multimillionaire, you deserve to pay more because other people didn't work as hard as you?
But it's not because other people didn't work as hard as me, it's because we, as a society, want to give everyone...
Life is just a whole like bunch of dices. You can work your butt off, whatever, and you still might, end up rolling the two. And next, somebody, might get super lucky and just rolls the dice and gets a automatic 6, and this next, they become rich. That's how life is.
Things like basic necessities like healthcare, education, have everyone have an equal opportunity. We don't have that right now.
You can have equal opportunity of a baseline, but the outcome would still be different because every individual is going to work different levels.
Facts.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Right, so I think that's where we are as a society. I was able to pull it off. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. I don't have a college degree. So the only limits are the limits you place on yourself. That's just my perspective.
America is the best country in the world.
Okay, so this is y'all country, so y'all obviously gonna, step up. But, I doubt any of them will step up. Some of y'all will step up. Yup, no way.
I think despite all of our challenges and problems, when you look at all the other countries of the world,
Y'all look at countries in the world, that's insane.
everybody is still trying to come here.
The way I could talk.
Certain areas in America. Mostly New York. Yeah, I'm saying like they say people are trying to come to America. I mean, mostly New York, LA. What else? Florida, I guess. Florida, California, New York, Florida. Those are like the 3, places that people really like to go to.
It ain't many places black men can go do that outside of America.
Okay, anyways, like I was saying before, like only 3 states people in America want to go visit. And it's only for opportunity, so then after that they're gonna leave the place regardless. Because of the whole, whole American dreams. And then when they actually, see what the American dream is, they're like, damn, this is the dream. I don't want to be here no more. Just dip.
3 years ago, when I got into the court system,
you're like, damn, this is the American dream.
Taken away from me, and
I don't want this no more.
And government power. And so when you have that stuff stripped away from you, and you realize most other countries don't have the freedom that America has. America has been the greatest country ever, and I think it will continue because of a lot of good people that stand up.
I think I would like to ask the question, what is America the best at?
Thank you.
I think we just was talking about the freedoms that we have here versus what they don't have in
healthcare.
Other countries.
So what about places in Scandinavia that actually have higher amounts of freedom? They have better democracies than we do here, higher quality of life, higher median income. They have healthcare systems that are more efficient.
Talk to them.
Of everyone in their population.
I don't even know what they're talking about, but talk to them.
More access to education.
But when you look at the big picture, everybody wants to come here.
3 states. 3 states, okay?
Millions of people are not trying to get into
3 states.
Scandinavia.
Why?
Because we have more opportunity than any other place in the world.
We don't even make the top 25 in women equality.
But we have a better opportunity to do something about it compared to other countries. And I would love it for Europe to open their borders the way we have and see if you can get people from other parts of the world.
I ain't gonna lie, they actually do open the, like, America. A lot of people go to Europe. I mean, they might go to France because, yeah.
To do mass migration to Europe.
I was going to mention Scandinavian countries as well, but I think it's also important to address that Scandinavian countries are very homogenous, racially, socioeconomically. They don't face the same geographic diversity that we have. What you were mentioning with the fact that we have the opportunity to write with women inequality, why is that not happening? It's because The way our democracy is set up, our Congress is literally in a gridlock right now, as it has been for so many past sessions of Congress. We aren't getting anything productive done.
The opportunity we have here is incredible, and I'm very happy that I live here and not somewhere else, but we are so focused on, oh, America is the best, that we don't look at these other countries and say, why are all those people so happy, and what is that, and how can we incorporate that into our society?
I mean, I would say, like, I think diversity is good. I think diversity of thought and diversity of opinion is super helpful. It's really easy to get clogged up into this groupthink. So I don't expect anyone else to agree with me or feel the way I feel. I just expect you to respect my right to feel this way. I respect your right to feel this way, and we keep it moving.
All right.
100% agree. I couldn't agree more, actually.
Awesome. That's a wrap.
Thank you so much.
That was a great video.